Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today, we are diving into the book, The Money Code, Free, Wise, and Rich. We're going to explore Raimon Samsó's incredibly popular yet kind of polarizing guide to personal wealth. This explainer is absolutely going to challenge how you view your bank account and, well, more importantly, how you view yourself.
Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today we are diving into the book The Money Code, Free, Wise, and Rich. Thrilled to have all your focused learners here with us. So the core idea we're unpacking today is that financial freedom isn't just about grinding harder at a job you might not even like. No, according to Samsó, true wealth actually requires an internal software upgrade. Basically, your external financial reality, it's really just a reflection of your internal mindset.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Welcome to the Money Code. 2. Your financial operating system. 3. The law of order. 4. Employee to entrepreneur. And 5. The mindset reality check. Now, let me ask you this directly. Ever feel like no matter how much you make, the money just disappears? It's that deeply frustrating paycheck-to-paycheck cycle so many of us experience. But Samsó's answer to this whole pain point is pretty fascinating. He insists it's actually not your income that's broken, it's your mental code. Section 2, your financial operating system.
So this is where we hit the first major theme. What we normally call money problems are usually just thinking problems. Samsó uses this really powerful metaphor. He says, think of your mind as running background financial software. This is the mental programming, those deeply ingrained beliefs, and the habits installed in you since childhood. Society, your schools, your parents, they all essentially coded this software for you. And if you've got poor software installed, it truly doesn't matter if you earn $50,000 or $500,000. Your habits will literally always find a way to leak that money.
And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between those two codes. On one side, we have scarcity software. This one's driven by fear, guilt, and those old scripts like money is evil. It treats wealth like a fixed pie, where someone else has to lose for you to win. But on the flip side, we have prosperity software. This is rooted in abundance, personal responsibility, and treating money just as a neutral tool, a tool that amplifies your personal freedom and your ability to serve others. So how do we fix a buggy operating system? Well, by actively reprogramming your mind. Samsó suggests some really actionable ways to uninstall this mental malware. First, you've got to surface those subconscious scripts of guilt and unworthiness. Then, replace them by using positive affirmations, clearly visualizing your desired financial outcomes, finding better mentors who are already running that prosperity software, and, above all, taking radical responsibility for your current situation, rather than just blaming outside forces.
Section 3, the law of order.
Most personal finance books jump straight into tactical things, right? Budgeting, stocks, real estate. But Samsó insists that starting there is actually starting completely backward. Instead, he introduces this 3-step sequential law. First, you must be. That means cultivating internal wisdom and the right mindset. Second is do, taking smart, disciplined actions and building solid habits. And only then do you reach the 3rd step, which is have. That's the actual manifestation of wealth and results. You absolutely must become a financially wise person internally before your external actions will ever yield lasting results.
So the crucial point here is that vague wishes like, I want more money, just completely fail without a values-aligned purpose. Without a really vivid, emotionally compelling vision for your life, people just get totally lost in the endless cycle of day-to-day expenses and reactive living. You need absolute clarity of purpose to give your financial journey direction.
Let's see how this builds into your actual career. Samsó defines your true vocation as the exact intersection of your talent and a market need. Kind of riffing on Aristotle here, he explains that your greatest financial opportunity sits right exactly where your personal, unique skills meet an unmet need in the world. When you hit that sweet spot, you are primed to create immense value.
Which brings us to Section 4, Employee to Entrepreneur.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we shift from the inner game of mindset to the outer game of real-world action. Look at this stark contrast. The employee mindset relies heavily on trading time for money. It comes with a hard income ceiling, because, let's face it, there are only so many hours in a day. The entrepreneur mindset, on the other hand, is entirely focused on building passive assets and scaling value. It's all about creating systems that generate wealth totally independent of your direct hourly input.
To make that leap, Here's Samsó's concrete action plan. He demands that we build multiple variable income streams, generate passive assets, stop trading hours for dollars entirely, and really start treating whatever skills you have as a service business. It's a huge emphasis on taking control of your income through pure value creation, rather than just waiting around for a yearly raise. I absolutely have to highlight this quote from the text. The secret of money is service. Think about that. It completely reframes wealth building. It's not about greedily chasing dollars at all. It's about solving other people's problems, reducing their pain, and adding value at scale. The more useful you are to others, the more your income naturally grows. Section 5, the mindset reality check. It's important we take an impartial, objective look at some of the structural critiques here. While highly motivating, the source material definitely has its harder edges. Reviewers have pointed out that the text largely ignores real structural and economic barriers. There's also a pretty strong element of survivorship bias in his examples, focusing mostly on the ultimate winners. Critics have also flagged some questionable MLM endorsements and noted that some of the internet business advice feels a bit dated today. At times, it can kind of feel like it blames individuals for complex systemic economic issues. So this presents a really balanced debate for us. On one hand, you have this deeply empowering message about taking radical responsibility for your life. But on the other, there's the risk of over-individualizing the problem, essentially ignoring the very real structural barriers to entry that so many people face. You really have to consider whether this strict employee versus entrepreneur framing is a highly useful motivation for you, or maybe a risky oversimplification of how security is actually built. So, what does this all mean for us? Does the idea that money lives in the mind hold up in your experience, or does it skip past the real economic barriers to wealth building? It's a vital question to ask when we're critically evaluating any financial philosophy. Regardless of where you land on that debate, that core software metaphor remains incredibly powerful. So how will you rewrite your own financial code today? What outdated belief are you going to uninstall right now to start upgrading your life?
Subscribe so you don't miss an episode.